Good evening, everybody. We're so happy that you joined us tonight at the Ashland Public Library for this evening to learn more about public transportation in Metrowest. I want to say thank you to the library. They've been fabulous partners for so many community events. I'm from the YMCA. My name is Sally Schweitzer, and I'm part of Project ABC, which is a grant-funded initiative to bring school readiness services and help support at-risk families in Ashland and Holliston and Hopkinton. And we are really excited tonight to be partnering with the town of Ashland and with the MWRTA to bring you this event. It is based on a survey of needs that let us know that transportation and questions about transportation was something that people wanted to hear more about and learn more about. And so thank you so much for coming. And I will give it over to Jennifer Wolfing, the social worker for the town of Ashland.
Thank you, Sally. So yes, my name is Jennifer Wolfing. I am the director of the Human Services Department and social worker for the town of Ashland. And part of my role is to be a source of a sounding board for any sort of stressors and psych or social or environmental issues that you might need help navigating. And I am partnering here with Carl Damagello. He is the director of the Community Relations and Outreach for the MWRTA, and he will be doing a presentation on transportation and in an educational forum so that we can all have an easier time navigating that system, the public transportation system. So thank you for coming.
Thanks, Jen. One of the things that we want to discuss is that a lot of people don't even realize that we have such a vast amount of public transportation in the Metro West area. And actually, what I tell people is, what you can do at Homer in Maine, right here in Ashland, is if you pick up the bus that goes through the center of town, you can go just about anywhere in the world by just getting on a bus. And I was sort of asked as to how we could do that with a group of students when I went to speak at Wellesley College. And I said, well, where do you want to go? And one of the young men said to me, I'd like to go to India. And I said, all right, here's what you're going to do. And I said that what you're going to do is take the Route 8 bus in Wellesley, and you're going to take it to the Natick Mall. And at the Natick Mall, you're going to pick up the Route 3 bus. And the Route 3 bus is going to take you to the Logan Express. And the Logan Express is going to take you into Logan Airport, and you could fly to India. And they were shocked of the fact that we are so versatile to be able to do that. The other thing, too, what I'm going to sort of concentrate on tonight is the routes that go through Ashland. Because Ashland is fortunate to have two routes that go through. There's the route that goes up 135 into Ashland, goes all the way into Hopkinton, and it terminates at Haywood Street and South Street in Hopkinton. Those are our people that take the bus to go to EMC to work, or they pick up the bus at the commuter rail station and take the bus to work. It's just starting to turn into a little lighter traffic through that South Street area now that Dell is moving people out of that area, which is kind of too bad because as I said to a lot of people, that it seems like if everything moves out of there, Hopkinton's going to sort of slow right down. But we still do it anyway. We still have a lot of riders that don't want to take their own vehicles. They're coming from Boston. We have learned that a lot of younger people that have just gotten out of college don't even buy cars anymore. And for the simple reason that they can get around with public transportation and be able to get wherever they want to go and not have to pay that high insurance for their automobiles to register them every year. So it makes it good for that group too. We're lucky that we have a commuter rail that comes through the Metro West area, and we actually go to a number of commuter rail stations. We go to Southborough, and these are with shuttles that we run every day in the morning and in the afternoon. We have the Ashland station. We don't go into the 1.25 mile road down to the Ashland Station off to 135. But it's surprising that we do have a lot of people that will get off our buses and walk down the road, because that might be the only way they can get to their jobs or get from Boston to here. Then, of course, we have the Framingham commuter rail, which is the busiest commuter rail station in the state, which makes it good for us because the Metrowest Regional Transit Authority took over that station. We operate that station for the MBTA. And because we're doing so well there, we added 200 parking spaces to that area. We've cleaned it up. I don't know if any of you have been down there, but we've cleaned it up considerably. We installed closed-circuit cameras so that not only the MWRTA can keep an eye on the lots over there, but also the Framingham Police Department. So it makes it good for us. And the MBTA saw that, and they're talking to us now. They want us to take over the Ashland Station and the Southborough Station. But my administrator, Ed Carr, probably is going to be a little hesitant to do that right now, because it's quite a project to have the commuter rail stations run smoothly. The one good thing that came out of the commuter rail station in Framingham was that the police chief in Framingham said that the crime rate in that area has been cut by 70%, because we don't have a lot of the homeless people that are hanging around there anymore. We have a retired police officer that's at the station every day, and he keeps people moving. So it makes it good. Now, as far as the Ashland, the mobility to increase Ashland residents, that as far as the demographics are concerned, and we have it too, I think in every community, we have 16-member communities, which I won't name because I'll probably forget somebody. But we have 16-member communities that belong to the MWRTA. I'm not sure if you can see this map. I'll use this map here as a sort of a visual aid, but we run routes. We run 14 different fixed routes, and we go all the way from the Woodland T Station in Newton to the Solomon Pond Mall in Marlboro. And then from the Solomon Pond Mall in Marlboro, this is our hub here on 15 Blandon Ave in Framingham. We go all the way to the south in Milford, and we go to the north to the Knobscott Shopping Center. We also have connections through the senior centers in a lot of the communities that we service that will run buses that people can take from different areas depending on the town. Ashland has a shuttle bus that they run. It's a small vehicle because they don't have a big need for people. But what they can do is people can call up the Ashland Senior Center and have that shuttle bus pick them up at their homes. And I know that a lot of the people think, well, that's for the seniors or people with disabilities, but they have broadened out to just pick up anyone. And that will probably, I think the driver that they have there, God love him, Gabe, who's the driver for the Ashland bus, I think he's still driving. No? Okay. Oh, all right. But he was an incentive to a lot of people because of his age, and he was as sharp as a tack from where people wanted to be picked up and dropped off. But usually what the vans do in each of the senior centers is they take people to get them into the fixed routes. So what you can do is there's different rates as far as the fares on the bus. For a regular adult on a bus, the fare, if they don't have a Charlie card, is $1.50. If they have a Charlie card, it's $1.25. If you have a senior disabled Charlie card, that same ride is 70 cents. So what you do is you have one transfer in the same direction. And I'll give you an example of how far you can go on 70 cents as a senior or somebody with a disability. What you can do is you can get on the bus at the Milford Crossing, which is where the new Stop and Shop is, the corner of 109 and Beaver Street in Milford. You get on the bus and you can go down through Holliston to the hub in Framingham. At the hub in Framingham, now this is still the same route going in the same direction, because the Route 6, the way we look at it is you can't get out of Milford if you don't take the Route 6, so we gave you that transfer. Now you can take it to our hub on Blandon Ave in Framingham. At the hub on Blandon Ave, what you can do is you can transfer to another bus, which is our Route 4 North, to the Natick Mall, and at the Natick Mall, you can transfer to the Route 1, which goes to the Woodland T Station. Now that trip just cost you 70 cents to get there. You're going to spend more money in gas to get to the Woodland T Station. And what we offer to our riders is the Charlie card. It's the same Charlie card that's used in Boston for the light rail T, or what I call the colored lines, the red line, blue line, green line, silver line. So that if you took that trip from Milford and got to the Woodland T Station, the card that you would use initially to get on the bus is the same card that you can use to get on the T at the Woodland T Station, the green line. So a lot of people don't realize that we also take the Charlie card, that they only think that we take cash. 60% of our riders use the Charlie card because it's easier and it's safer. When I say safer, especially when you're talking about seniors, you don't want to be taking and fumbling with money out of your wallet or your pocket and have other people on the bus see that, ooh, you could be a target for somebody just to go up to you and say, can I borrow some money? That's the one thing I tell people when I'm travel training them is you don't want to really trust anybody on that bus but the driver, because there are people out there that will try and sort of coax you to give them some money somehow. And we don't want anybody on our buses to be the target of somebody stealing from them. But the other rates on the bus are for students. As long as you show a student ID, it's $1 for the trip. So it's cheaper for a student to use their student ID and pay $1 than it is to have a Charlie card for a student, because that's $1.25. There's the other thing too is that what we do is we go to different senior centers and also in different outreach areas to do senior disabled Charlie cards on site. And the people will leave the outreach talk that we give with their Charlie card in hand. So it's not like they have to go to Boston. It used to be you had to go to Boston to get the Charlie cards. Now the only thing that the Charlie card is not good for is the commuter rail. If you have a senior disabled Charlie card, it will give you the same percentage discount on the commuter rail as it does on our buses. But the commuter rail, I'm sorry. The commuter rail, it's really surprising because they're run by the MBTA as the same as the light rail T and the buses in Boston and the Charlie cards that we give out, but they don't have a one fare system for everyone, which is kind of strange. Hopefully someday they'll do that. Probably around the time that we all have chips implanted in our heads so we don't have to carry charge cards anymore. But the important part is that we try and offer and make public transportation as easy as possible for everyone. The two routes, as I said, that go through Ashland, the one that comes up 135 from the hub. Now, when it leaves our hub here, what it does is it stops at the commuter rail station first. That's its first stop out of Framingham. Then what it will do is it will come to downtown Ashland. It goes into downtown Ashland. It will take a right on Hosmer Street, which is right after the, I call it the old Telecron building, where there's a gym there, I believe, too, across from where Dairy Queen used to be. Takes a right there and then goes down and connects onto, connects into downtown Ashland and go around and come back out by Cherry Street to get back onto 135. And then, as I said, it goes into downtown Hopkinton, then it goes to South Street, then to EMC. The other route that goes through Ashland is the Route 6, and that is the one that comes, same thing, it comes out of the hub in Framingham, goes to the commuter lot rail, and then what it will do is it will come down and come straight, go into Market Basket, which everybody seems to love to take that route because it's easier for them, and they like Market Basket more than others. But they also stop at Shaw's, then they go into downtown Holliston, and then from downtown Holliston it goes into Milford Crossing. The Route 6 goes to Milford Crossing, and that's where the transfer point is to get into the Milford route, which is a Route 14. So just that alone gives you a pretty good overview of where it covers in Ashland and where you can go. Now, one of the things that I tell people in training them is that you want to be definitive as to where you want to go. Don't get on a bus and not know where you're ending up, because it won't always work that way. I had one young lady when I was travel training another group, and she got on the bus and said to the driver, "Do you go to Stop and Shop?" And the driver said, "Yes, I do." So that particular bus stopped at the, because we stopped right in front of the 6 Stop and Shops, actually. They stopped on Old Connecticut Path. The girl said, "This isn't the Stop and Shop I wanted." And the driver said, "Well, which Stop and Shop did you want?" She said, "I wanted the one up by Temple Street." So that's why you have to be very definitive, because what you could do is, if you get on a particular bus, especially at the Natick Mall, we have 7 of our routes go into the Natick Mall. Of the 14 fixed routes, 7 of them go into the Natick Mall. So you have to make sure that you read the head sign, which is the front sign on the bus, as to it gives you the route and the destination, that you're getting on the right bus. And that's why the drivers become very important, so that you ask them as to where you're going. Now, the other thing too is that we provide transportation to 2 of the larger shopping malls within the Metrowest area. As I said, the Natick Mall and the Solomon Pond Mall. Solomon Pond, as far as I'm concerned, when I'm ever over in the Marlboro area, if I'm going to a senior center or whatever it might be, I will take people to the Solomon Pond Mall. I think it's a hidden jewel in the city of Marlboro that you don't have to fight the hustle and bustle of the Route 9 traffic. I also think that Milford, the bus that goes into Milford, is sort of a hidden jewel also because of the fact that you have a lot of the box stores in Milford, the same ones that you have in Framingham. And I'm not trying to get away any business from the Framingham box stores, but it makes it a lot easier for a lot of people, and it makes it more convenient too. For somebody that lives in downtown Holliston and wants to get on the bus to go to Target, the easiest way to do that is to get on the Route 6 into Milford, and the second stop in Milford, once it gets to Milford Crossing, it makes a transfer to the Route 14, and the next stop that it will make is the Target in Milford, and it pulls right into the front of Target too. So if you've got a lot of stuff that you're carrying on the way out, it makes it easier that you don't have to walk across the parking lot to get that particular bus stop. The other thing is that we have a number of routes that are called loop routes. One of them is the Framingham Loop, which is this one here, and the other one is the Natick Loop, which is this one here. Now, we have 2 buses that run those routes. One runs clockwise and one runs counterclockwise. And the reason for that is, if you get on the bus, for instance, in Knobscot, and you want to go to the Natick Mall, what you would do is you would take this blue line here, that's the Route 2, because it goes clockwise, and it will take you quickly to the Natick Mall. Now, there are some stops along the way that you can see here, but it's still a shorter distance. If you took the Route 3 by accident that goes counterclockwise, what happens is you have to go, I call it all the way around the mulberry bush, because now you're going all the way this way, and then back up, and then to the Natick Mall. So it makes it a lot easier. And one of the things that I teach when I do travel training with people is trip planning. Know where you're going before you go. And what I'll do too is, if somebody has a particular doctor's appointment in one of the Metrowest facilities, either in Natick or Framingham, what I'll do is I'll ask them, where are you leaving from? What time do you have to be there? And what time are you going to need to come back home? Now, a lot of the times coming back home, it makes it a little more difficult because anybody that's ever been to the doctor doesn't just go to the doctor for the doctor. Usually he's got to send you for a test over here, over there, wherever it might be, and you're going to be longer than you thought. But at least that way, it will give you an idea as to how you can get there, how much it's going to cost, if there are any transfers involved, because a lot of people go, I don't want to do that, I don't want to transfer. But what I will do too is I will actually take a trip with people so that they can see the route that they want to go on and go on it most frequently. And with travel training, I'll stay with them in the training until they feel comfortable enough to be able to ride it by themselves. Now, the other thing on this sheet here is these are the two schedules for the Ashland routes, the Route 5 and the Route 6. Kind of easy to remember where they're so close together. But the Route 5 is the one that goes over to Hopkinton. The Route 6 is the one that goes into Milford. And people go, oh, I can't read your schedules, they're too confusing. And usually what I say to them is, if you can read a book, you can read the schedule. It's the same as the comment about if you can catch a wrench, you can catch a ball, or whatever it was for dodgeball. But on the left-hand side is the list of the stops that it goes once it leaves the hub area. So that's outbound. Once it gets to a certain point on this, which is the South Street and Haywood Street, it turns around and it comes back, and it goes through the same stops that it went to when it went out. So it stops at all these stops on the way inbound. Now, as far as the times are concerned, what you want to do is, I'm sorry, can you see this all right? What you want to do is you want to go over and see what's the closest time that you want to catch that bus. So what you do is you take, for instance, here's the Framingham MBTA station at the commuter lot, and if you want to catch the 7:43 bus, that's the third column. So the 7:43 bus will take you down, and what you want to do is, until you get to a location where you want to get off the bus, because sometimes you might have to go outbound to come inbound because of where the stops are. But the thing is that if you go down and you find out where you want to go, it might be Price Chopper in Hopkinton, because I have a lot of seniors in Hopkinton that will get on the bus and they'll take the bus to Price Chopper. Now, in the time it takes for this bus, after it drops you off at Price Chopper, to come back around, because again, it's going to go all the way outbound, then it's going to come back inbound, then it's going to come back outbound, and it will pick you up at Price Chopper. That's roughly about an hour. Now, a lot of people seem to feel that that's enough time to do their shopping. If you, for some reason, you miss the bus, it's going to come around again. Wherever the bus picks you up, that's where it's going to drop you off. All right? And our system, the way we run it is, we do have a lot of schedules that have designated time points or bus stops. But the thing is, primarily, we are a flag-down system. It's the same as hailing a cab. So if you know you're on the route and at 8:05, that particular bus is going to be coming by, you want to be standing out there waiting for the bus. Now, as far as the time points on the schedule, the bus will never leave before the time that's on the schedule. It might be late, which we don't like to hear, but it will never leave earlier. So because a lot of people, especially when I'm dealing with seniors, and I'm a senior myself, so when you're dealing with seniors, they get nervous, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to get back home? How late do you run? Is it going to be the same driver? No, because during the middle of the day, they switch drivers on the routes. It will more than likely be the same two drivers for that route, but it might not be the same driver they had in the morning as the same driver in the afternoon, especially if you're going on a long trip. The travel training that I like to do is I will do it with one person on an individual basis, or I'll do it with a room full of people. And usually if I do it with a room full of people, that's what opens up the floor to questions, because a lot of people will say, you know, especially if you're a senior, normally what I hear from the men more than the women is, I don't know why I'm here. I still have my license. And what I'd like to say to them is, yeah, but for how long? But normally what I'll say is, do you feel confident enough to drive, even by yourself? And if they say, yep, I've been driving for 73 years, and I'm saying, this is a good person that should probably be thinking about giving up their license rather than keeping their license. And what I will say to them is, hey, do you watch the news on a daily basis? And usually they'll say, yes, I do. I said, did you see the car that went through the front of the Dunkin' Donuts up in Andover, that the guy thought he was stepping on the brake and he was stepping on the gas? He goes, yeah. I said, you know, your reflexes slow down once you get older. And what I also do sometime on outreach projects is I'll go with a young lady by the name of Michelle Elix. She's from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. And what she'll do is she'll do a transitioning for people to tell them when they should try and give up their license. We love to have the people give up their license on their own rather than have somebody tell them they should give up their license. I have seen it where families were split up because dad had to give up his license, or mom had to stop driving, or whatever it might be. And whoever tells the parent that, they're the ones that they're the outcasts of the family. And I've seen families get broken up over it because of the fact that, oh, you told Dad he shouldn't be driving. Yeah, I told Dad he shouldn't be driving because he went through the back of the garage when he pulled the car in the garage. And this is reality. But the problem is, if you get a senior, I keep seeing you look at him, and is he a bad driver? But, but the reality of it is that once Michelle gives them the talk about giving up the license and how they should transition, then what I do is, because I've always had the feeling that if you take a driver's license away from anybody, no matter what age they are, even if it's not because of you not being able to drive because of some sort of a physical problem that you might have, even if a police officer takes your license away for an amount of time, it's very tough because now the thought in your head is, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to get to the shopping center? How am I going to do grocery shopping? So the thing that you have to be concerned about is, I always say that if is it time?
Oh, no.
Oh, if you take the license away from anybody, it's like cutting their legs off because they lost their independence and they don't have the opportunity to go out and be able to travel independently. And what I do is I teach them that it can be done. Even though you had your license taken away, you still can be able to drive and get around independently. Now, I also did a travel training with a young lady from Natick who was in her early 50s, and she lost her license because she had a stroke, and her doctor took the license away. The families like it when some sort of person in authority, like a doctor or police, registry of motor vehicles, takes the license away because it makes it a lot easier. I'd like to let people know, especially in Ashland, Framingham, Holliston, Hopkinton, wherever you're involved with this, that we offer the travel training free of charge to anybody that wants it. Because, as I said earlier, I would hate to have somebody get on our buses and not know where they're going to end up. We've had that also where I'll get a phone call from a daughter or a son that says, my mother's in Marlboro, downtown Marlboro, and she has no idea how she got there or where she is. So what I would say is, let me walk you through it and we'll get her back home. Or him back home. I don't want to pick on the women, but because it would probably happen more to the men than it would to the women. But it also makes for a great social event to ride on the bus. And I'll tell you why. No matter what age you are, whether it's a kid for the first time riding on the bus, they love it. Because it's something new. It's not riding with mom in the car. It's up to the parent to secure that child in the bus. We do have seatbelts, but if you want to bring your car seat with you, we can secure it to the seat in the bus, but they'll have a little more freedom. They can't move around on the bus, but they have a little more freedom. So the nice part, as I said about it, is the experience of public transportation. And if nothing else, to at least take one of our buses. Before I leave, I'm going to give you all a Charlie card. I'm sorry to say there's no value on them, but but at least it gives you a start. And those particular Charlie cards, even though they're given out by the MBTA, we are an agent of the MBTA, and we can offer you on our buses to add fare to the buses. Or you can add fare to the buses at our central hub. The senior disabled Charlie cards, usually what the senior centers do is they well publicize if we're going to be in a certain town so that a lot of people can come. And we get a lot of spillover too, you know. I was in Milford last week and I couldn't get up here to get the Charlie card, so I'll see somebody in Hopkinton or Hopedale or wherever it might be that I'm doing an event. And it makes it good because what I like to do is at least one senior center a month in one of the 16 different towns. Sometimes they have to double up to get caught up, but other than that, it makes it good for everybody that they don't have to go to Boston to the MBTA. Yes.
Do you find that you get a lot of families with young children traveling on the
Yes.
public transportation, and how does it work for them if they have, if they've got a carriage that they need to get onto the bus? And you had mentioned that there is a way to secure the kids.
Yes. There's a seat belt that's on the bus, a regular lap belt, and then there's also a support point where you can take. A lot of the car seats have a strap on the back that go up over the back of the seat that they can do that. And then with a combination of the two, it makes it really good. What I always say is that it's surprising that it isn't mandatory for kids to put a seatbelt on a school bus. And for a long time there weren't any seatbelts on school buses.
So is there a place they can put
Yes,
their
in the back.
carriage?
Yes, in the
Yeah.
back of the bus, what the driver can do is secure it in the back, and they can also use it. We have on every single vehicle that we have, except for the 3 SUVs that we have wheelchair lifts, and the wheelchair lifts are used for two purposes. One is for a wheelchair, the most important, and the second one is if you have somebody with some sort of a mobile disability where they can't climb the 3 steps up into the bus, because the driver isn't going to come out to help you go up the steps, but he'll come out and help you with getting on the wheelchair ramp. There's handles on there, and he'll lift you into the bus like an elevator, and then you can walk right to the seats. So it makes it good for. I see you keep sneaking over here.
I know, I just have a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Real quick, if anybody has a question, please use the microphone stand right there.
can you just talk about I realize that it's a flag down system, but also the specific stops in Ashland, just the 2 Ashland routes, and then also how frequently the buses come, and is that different on the weekends versus the weekdays? And yeah, just explain that.
Unfortunately, the Route 5 and the Route 6, which are the 2 routes that go into Ashland, they don't run on the weekends. We have some routes that run on Saturdays. We don't have a Sunday service, which, again, it's another thing that we're looking at down the road. But right now, we don't have enough real call for a Sunday. For seniors, you do have that call because they would like to be able to get to church. It makes it difficult for them unless they're going to go with a friend or a family member, especially if they're not driving anymore. And the senior Charlie cards, did I answer your question? No.
The bus stops in Ashland.
Oh, the bus stops in Ashland, there aren't.
Times during the week that they come.
Yeah, they start in the morning. The first bus leaves the hub for the Route 5 that comes through downtown Ashland at 5:30 in the morning. And the last bus returns to the hub at 8 o'clock, around 8 o'clock. The Route 6 that goes into Milford through Holliston, that one starts at 5:51 rather, and the last bus to get back to the hub in Framingham is 8:22. So there's a pretty good span of amount of time that those buses are running. The actual stops in Ashland right now is, let's see, Bethany's in Framingham, Homer and Main Street, the Ashland House, which is next to the police station, the Ashland Junior High, Ashland Community Center, and then it goes into Hopkinton. On the other one, right now, the stops are, it leaves Blandon and goes to the MBTA station, Winthrop and Hollis Street in Framingham, Market Basket, Shaw's, Washington Street, Washington Street and Holliston. So that's the only ones. And our major stops in Ashland on the Route 6 are Market Basket and Shaw's.
And how frequently do buses run?
Every other hour. Yeah. You know, don't hold me to that because it also depends on traffic, construction. So there are some factors that you have to bring into effect as far as whether the buses are going to be on time. That's why I always tell people that it won't leave before the times on the route, but it could, you know, leave way after the times, especially on the time that the bus is running, if it's running real late. Did you have another question?
I do. Two questions.
I'm glad you came.
One, I'm delighted to be here. One is, how does a person get a hold of the schedule? Where can somebody find one?
Well, you can get it online on our website,
Okay.
www.mwrta.com. They have a whole list of the schedules on there. Now, besides just our fixed routes, as I said, we run commuter route shuttles too. We have one that goes from the Southborough train station to downtown Marlboro all the way to Boston Scientific. When Boston Scientific was looking for a place to place their facility when they moved out of Natick, they put this in an area where it's out in the boondocks. So we go there only 2 times in the morning, 2 times at night. And then we have the Framingham commuter shuttle, which leaves the hub, and then that also goes to commuter rail. It waits there for the particular train as to when it's coming in, so that people won't be getting off the train and they'll be waving to the bus as it's pulling away. And that particular bus mainly serves the 990 Industrial Park area, Gensheim, which has got a new name now, Staples. And when I say Staples, a lot of people go, Staples, the store on Route 9? I said, no, this is the world headquarters of Staples, because we have a lot of people that take that premium commuter shuttle that will go from the train on the shuttle up there, because it's starting to get, that's still growing, believe it or not, and it's starting to get very difficult to find a parking space up there. So people find it just easier that they can do that.
Wonderful.
There's also the Natick commuter shuttle, which is mainly for serving MathWorks. We have a lot of ridership on MathWorks, and we've got a new stop with MathWorks on Lakeside. It's Superior Drive, where the Carling's Brewery used to be, for those of you who remember that. So we shuttle some people between the 2 campuses. The campus that's up Apple Hill, it's called, on Route 9, heading eastbound. And then we also have shuttles that we're dealing with cooperatively with Mass Bay. We have a campus-to-campus shuttle that we run from Framingham to Wellesley, and that runs about, I think that runs about 10 times a day. It's a continuous run back and forth, because you'd have some people that will get on in Framingham. It's easier for them if they live in Framingham, and they'll go to Wellesley. And then they'll come back to Framingham, or vice versa, because some of the classes that are offered might not be offered at one particular campus. Then we have a shuttle that goes from the Riverside T station to Mass Bay, which is another Mass Bay shuttle. The thing is with the shuttles, anybody can get on them. So if you're in Wellesley for some reason, near the Mass Bay campus, you can get on that Mass Bay campus-to-campus shuttle and take it back to Framingham. Now, I have a heartwarming story of a young lady that I travel trained. She has severe cerebral palsy. And what I did was I said to her father it would be difficult because of where they lived on Edgell Road in Framingham. But if he could at least get her to the Framingham campus, then she can take the campus-to-campus shuttle, because she goes to school at Mass Bay and Wellesley. And it's really heartwarming for me because every time I see her on the bus, I'll check on her every once in a while. She's just got a smile from ear to ear. And it really makes you happy that you're able to help somebody with that sort of disability. She's in a wheelchair, permanently in a wheelchair. But she loves riding on the bus because it gives her interaction with people normally she would not be, talking to or something like that.
Well, and that was my second question, because I think this idea of, I'm going to get this wrong, transportation education?
Yes. Well,
No.
travel training.
Travel training.
Yes.
So I'm really interested in that idea, because I think folks with disabilities and seniors, and also families, with young children who feel isolated and can't get out.
Right.
How does a person access travel training? Can anybody do it?
Absolutely. The thing is that what they need to do is call our main number, and I am the main travel trainer. I do have two other young ladies that work with me, but that's another thing that really makes you happy when you're able to have a success story come out of the travel training. And right now I'm working with all 16 high schools in the MWRTA in a program that's called Transitions. And what Transitions is, kids that are getting ready to leave high school are in that age group of 18 to 22. I call that the black hole, because usually what happens is the students or the school systems don't offer a lot of programs for kids that age. So what I will do is I will try and travel train them, and so they'd be able to get to jobs. A lot of the parents want to give their sons or daughters as much independence, especially when they're reaching the age of 22, to be able to live on their own. And what I do at first is I do an evaluation of the student to see if they could actually do the travel training. Because the first question I ask them, which seems to be kind of insulting to a lot of people, but is, can you tell time? And they'll tell me, yes, they can. Because we also have people that we travel train that have hearing impairments through the Learning Center in Framingham for the deaf, or visually impaired. So the thing that's important is, why do you ask me if I can tell time? I said, because all of our schedules run on time. So once I get that cleared up, then I say to them, how are you at crossing the street? And they'll say, I don't have any problem crossing the street. I said, well, let's take a little walk, and what we'll do is we'll leave the hub, and we'll go over to the intersection of Beaver Street and Blandon Ave, which is near where a Denison Crossing is, or the new dollar store there. That's a very confusing crosswalk setup, even for people that have no problems at all crossing the street, because you've got cars coming from every which way. And what I'll do is I'll say, you feel pretty confident to get over to the other side of the street? And they'll say, yep. And I say, okay, go ahead. So they'll start across the street, then all of a sudden the people coming out of Beaver Street heading towards Waverly Street, they've got the green light now. And they're going to be turning, some of them are going to be turning left. So I'll tell them, stay right there on the island and don't move. And what I'll do is go out and get them, because the other thing that could happen is that you've got a car coming out of Blandon Ave that's turning right on Beaver Street. And what that does is, all of a sudden it's a wake-up call for these kids to realize that they don't have it as easy as they think they do. But a lot of times what you have to do is you have to be on the side of the street, even if you're flagging down a bus, that the bus is traveling. Because if you all of a sudden, and I've seen it, where you see the bus coming on a particular route and you're running across the street to get the bus because you think you're going to miss it, what can happen is that you could either cause an accident for the bus, or you could cause an accident for other vehicles in the road. So it's very important that, trip planning, get prepared as to where you want to go so you know that you're on the right side of the street. Because if you're going to hail the bus or flag down the bus, you want to make sure. Now, in the opposite, once you get on the bus, some people will say, well, how do I get off the bus? Well, on our buses, we have a yellow cord, which is over all the windows. And what they'll do is they'll pull the cord when they get too close as to where they want to get off the bus. and it will show up as a stop request for the driver. So what the driver will do is say to whoever it is that pull the cord, and we've had it where kids were being kids, and they'll pull it anyway and drive the driver crazy, but he'll say, I'm going to let you off up here about 200 feet. And the reason for that is safety of the bus, safety of the passengers on the bus, and safety of the vehicles around you. So that he's going to let you off at the safest possible stop. It's the same, too, that if you're getting on the bus by flagging down, what the driver will usually do is, as he's approaching you and you've made eye contact with him, that he knows you want to get on his bus, what he will do is he will point and say, just point ahead that I'm going to pick you up down a little ways. But we have it now where a lot of the people that do ride our buses, and we're close to doing 1 million riders a year now for the people that ride on the fixed routes. So it's amazing as to how we've grown in 11 years to get to that. I mean, the first year, I forget what it was, but it was a very small number of people that actually took our buses. And to this day, there are still people who go, oh, I didn't know you went there. Because the important thing is that I look at teaching people as the commercial that used to be on TV. If you tell 2 people, then they'll tell 2 people, and so on and so on. And that's the best way for us, is by word of mouth to people. Because if we can pick up 1 new rider a day, we're happy with that. I'd like to pick up about 100 riders a day, because the MWRTA is a state agency and also federal. So that's how we get our funding, by the ridership.
Carl, so if somebody does not press the yellow cord, do they automatically stop at those designated stops?
Yeah, they should.
Okay.
I can't tell you what the driver's going to do,
Yeah.
because I'd have to ride with them all day, all of them. But
And I
they
just
should
wanted
stop
to.
there, yes.
Okay. And I just wanted to let folks know that I can be a point of contact if you want a specialized travel training. You can definitely call my office at 508-532-7942, and I can connect you with Carl. And you can always use my office at the community center to meet with folks if needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I'll go, if it's a one-on-one, say that it's a parent and they want to teach their kids how to ride the bus through travel training, I can even meet at their homes if they want. I don't like to have a home setting as the place to go, but sometimes it's more convenient than coming to the hub in Framingham.
That's wonderful. And I want to say the same thing if you're a family that with kids 0 to 8, which is what Project ABC serves, we also can be a point of contact. Happy to have families give me a call. I have a work cell phone, which is 978-618-7801. Again, that's Project ABC through the YMCA, and we're also glad to help hook you up with this travel training or to get you a schedule or anything that you might need.
Yeah, take advantage of the public transportation that you people pay for anyway, whether you ride it or not, because through your taxes, the funding that we get is on our ridership that we get from federal and state funding. So, and they're talking about cutting it back for fiscal year 19, which is going to be a shame because there are 2 regional transit authorities. We are the newest regional transit authority, not the smallest, but the newest. The biggest is the MBTA, and there are 15 different regional transit authorities. So, we like to say that we have sort of the ideal situation with the way we are running now. The Worcester Regional Transit Authority and the Pioneer Valley, which is Springfield, is cutting back fixed routes because of lack of funding. So at least we haven't gotten to that point, and I hope we never do. We just added a few things. Let me just, before we end this, but we just added what's called a Sudbury Shuttle. The Sudbury Shuttle meets up with our fixed route 7C, which is, it goes to the Wayside Inn Country Store on Hager Street in Marlboro. Actually, it's on Route 20, but it goes to that point. And at that point, it meets up with the Sudbury Shuttle. The Sudbury Shuttle is run by a grant that the Sudbury Senior Center got, and it goes from the country store in Marlboro now, and it goes down Route 20 as far as what's called the Wayland Town Center, which is at the corner of 27 and Route 20. And what we do is we stop at all of the grocery stores and any spot that would be sort of more of an attraction that somebody's going to get on that shuttle to ride. Now, the first day that they did it, this might not seem a lot to you, but there were 7 riders on that shuttle. This was the very first day. And we've been trying to get the word out as much as we can. Especially Sudbury seems to have a lot of variety for grocery stores along Route 20. And it was the dead spot. Nobody could get there to do the shopping. But now the Sudbury shuttle run through the senior center in Sudbury, at least that way there, 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. They go the Route 20 run. Eventually, I think what we would like to do is go all the way down Route 20 to 27, where we're going now anyway, into Cochituate, and follow Route 27 down, because we have 2 routes that go into 2 housing units in Cochituate, which is part of Wayland. And it would connect up to make a loop to go around and down like that. The other thing that we're also running too, besides that particular route, is we are trying to expand even more, because what we do now is we just partnered with the Hopedale, which is one of our communities that belongs to the RTA. Hopedale has a senior center van now. So what they do is they will take somebody in Hopedale and bring them to either the Shaws in Milford, which is just up the street from downtown Hopedale. Hopedale's a very narrow town. And it will, or the Milford Senior Center, to get them into the fixed routes, this whole system. So we trying to sort of give more transportation than we can for as many people as possible. And through the help of the senior centers too, that have been fantastic to run the buses, even though Ashland only has a small, it's not even a van now, it's called an MV1, and well, the first time I saw this, it's fascinating, because in order to get a wheelchair into the van, the side door, the passenger side door opens, and a ramp goes right down onto the ground. And they can do it at 2 different levels. So if you got elevation that's a little higher or a little lower, they can adjust it so they can get right in the side. Then there's a bench seat in the back. And the nice part about the MV1 is the person in the wheelchair, there isn't a passenger seat in the van. What they do is they secure the wheelchair in normally what would be the passenger seat. So they have more of a better ride to be able to see what's going on, where they're going. Normally what happens on our regular fixed route buses is they put the person in the way back as soon as you come in off the wheelchair ramp, and they really can't see anything else that's going on. So that's why I think Ashland has a little bit of an advantage for that. Now, the only other senior center that has one of those is Natick. So between Ashland and Natick, they have these MV1s. And if you have a chance sometime, it's parked a lot at the community center on Route 135 to see it, or to see if somebody, maybe Jen can go out and show you how to open it up and see how it works, or somebody might be there that can show you how it works. And it's amazing that this particular vehicle is so accessible for people. It has a bench seat in the back, so what you can do is you can actually put 2 wheelchairs without any problem in it, and you can put 3 people in the bench seat in the back. Anybody else got any questions? One more thing that I'd just like to mention is we also run what's called the Boston Hospital Shuttle. The Boston Hospital Shuttle runs on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we have a lot of people that use this, and I'll tell you why. You have to set up an account for it and keep money in the account, because the driver doesn't take money like a Charlie card or anything like that. And then once you get on the bus at our hub in Framingham, it will take you to the New England Baptist Hospital, the VA Hospital in Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury, Brigham and Women's, the New England Deaconess, Beth Israel, Jocelyn, Dana-Farber, Children's, I think that's it. At Brigham and Women's, there's a Partners runs a shuttle from Brigham and Women's to Mass General. So you can get over to Mass General, Mass Ioneer. It will take you over there, and those are free of charge. Now, our hospital shuttles one way for one person is $2. If you want to take a companion in, the companion doesn't have to set up an account. What they can do is they can take the money off of whoever it is that they're going with, whether it's mom or dad or whatever it might be. So that person is $2 also one way. $8 round trip. 2 people can go into the Boston hospitals, and you couldn't, the parking's going to be more than $8 at any of the Boston hospitals. And we also have had students from Wellesley College who took the Boston Hospital shuttle into Boston just to get into Boston. So it doesn't have to be used just to go to the hospitals. But we set it up originally with a grant from the Veterans Administration because that's why we start out from either our hub or the VFW in Natick, and we go to the 2 veterans hospitals in Boston. I think that will do it unless anybody else has got any, the clock on the wall says it's time to wrap it up. Well, I really appreciate all of you that came out tonight on this dismal, dark night to listen to me ramble on. But I'd like to thank Sally and Jen for thinking of me to be involved in this project. And we hope to see a lot more Ashland residents, whether they're 8 or 80, travel on our buses.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a safe trip. And remember to travel on public transportation.